What the Sakal Media Group has done in the last few months is to bring to us in India, from Pemandu in Malaysia, methodology to help us to address our main problem in the country today. The main problem in the country today is we are not able to get things done, it seems. And we have to find the root cause. Why is it that we're not able to get things done? And the root cause, as we found in the Planning Commission, when we looked at why is India not able to implement its plans time after time, it is that the stakeholders involved in any area are not in sufficient agreement about what needs to be done. So they have to be brought into agreement by being put together and made to work together. So what's the problem? What do you think is the solution? Now agree on the solution and take responsibility for the implementation of the solution. And this is what the Pemandu process does. And so I do congratulate Sakal for bringing this methodology and then applying it at the state level. Because the Pemandu methodology requires that the system of that country or the state be unified under some head. Like the Prime Minister of Malaysia takes the responsibility then for putting pressure for the execution of the plans that have been developed by the stakeholder. And in our country, as we have separate states, very large states with their own governments, elected governments, it is appropriate that this methodology be introduced at the state level. And so Pemandu being brought by Sakal, which is a very important paper in Maharashtra, to Maharashtra, the people of Maharashtra, with the cooperation now of the government of Maharashtra, I think is a brilliant initiative. I'm sure it's going to work. I've heard today in the introduction already by Dato Sri Idris from Pemandu that he is learning, they are learning things that Sakal was doing here in India to develop methods which fit our much more diverse, I would say, much more participative democracy. So we needed emotional engagement of a much larger group of people before we start making more expert intellectual plans. And so adding those steps into the Pemandu process, we are now developing a method which, as it will work in Maharashtra, would be available to other states also to use to get results, which the people of India, I would say, are crying for.
So, in terms of solutions part, this is what we have today to represent the guys. There are some which are in there, but we have to simulate
Structuring of the issue into structuring of the group.
So, this was after the first week, we realized that all three groups have somewhat a similar threat. So they claim that it's not that big of a problem. They say that the where is actually very important. The where is defined by the why. How we prioritize, why we prioritize.
This is a problem of the why. Why is this a problem? Why is it important? I mean, you know the views of there's something that we often is lost from this analysis, that 70%. I want to go back and do this in my department. I say, hang on, you only give me 1 year, you want to go with this.
Water source and conservation.
He's Arun Maira. You know, I'm sure you know he is.
Yes, and they are not, they are actually quarreling with each other rather than supporting each other, right? So the great enabler for India would be a method by which we get the on all subjects. Economics of it and the profit out of it. Now, if the solution that you have requires a certain payment for the solution to be sustainable, and a large number of people can't pay, then how are they going to be included in the solution?
Sorry to interrupt you. It's one household. They have to spend to dispose their water, wastewater from their septic tank, say from tanker. Through tanker they are doing.
Very happy to have spent this 1 hour with the labs here in Mumbai, the delivering change, which is powered by Sakal and supported so elegantly by Pemandu in Malaysia. And I've been around today meeting with the 60 participants, half of whom are from the government and others from the NGOs and the private sector. They're working together in a way that I haven't seen government people working amongst themselves and with people in the private sector and the NGOs. And when I asked the government people what they have liked about their last 4 weeks of experience here, they've said precisely this, that here we are working together, getting data from each other, about the whole system. Otherwise, we are in our silos. I see things from my perspective, others see things from their perspective, and we just argue, and there's no solution at the end of it. So here, Pamandu has brought a method of people working together to look at the whole system, and then to find, through a root cause analysis, so what is making the system stuck. And quite often, what is making the system stuck is not what people say they have solutions for already. So we are running around, many of us, with our pet solutions to big problems without having done the analysis of what is the root cause of this problem. And we cannot do the root cause analysis unless other people who understand other aspects of the system are with us. So together we say, now I understood the shape of this elephant, and I know where the trunk is or where the tail is to do that. So I'm very pleased with two things. That one is we are using method, a very good method, and very grateful to Pemandu and the government of Malaysia for making this technology available to us and for sending some great facilitators here. I was really impressed with the level of persons who come from Malaysia spending full time here to help us. And the second is I would thank also Sakal and Abhijit and his team in Sakal for the passionate enthusiasm with which they'll go and get something new and say, if it's good for India, good for the people, we will get it and cajole the people and bring them over to help us to learn. IBIN, the India Backbone Implementation Network, was an idea conceived as part of developing the 12th plan, when we recognized that in this country we keep announcing that we are going to get great results in terms of growth rates, reduction of poverty, availability of water to everybody in the country by some dates, and electricity by some dates, and so on. But we never seem to be able to get to those outcomes, or hardly fast enough. So what was missing, we realized, was that the method we were using of solving complex issues wasn't the right one. It was too much based on silos and experts and people at the top devising solutions which they hoped would work for people all over the country and people would accept them and do them. And it doesn't work like that. Real life doesn't work like that. So IBIN proposed that we should recognize the real problem that we have to address in the country, which is a problem of coordination. And the poor coordination is arising quite often because of contentions between different people who have different perspectives and different vested interests in a subject, in a situation. So to enable them to work together in collaboration rather than in contention with each other. And secondly, even when you come to an agreement that something has to be done and you all agree, the way in which you would do it, there's no good plan, a systematic plan which lays down the steps to be taken right down, to use a Pemandu expression, at the 3-foot level, because your foot touches the ground even below 3 foot actually. So talking about solutions in the air at 30,000 foot is necessary, but that's where you get the perspective. But then you go to systematically work down to, well, what would be done then on the ground? So we found very poor planning in the country actually. It's all, plans are at 50,000 feet and there are hardly any implementable plans at 3,000 or 3-foot levels. So these two missing skills in the country, converting contention to collaboration and converting confusion to coordination through better planning, is what IBIN, the India Backbone Implementation Network, is addressing. And Pemandu and Sakal and their water labs in Maharashtra are one of our largest and earliest projects to illustrate how a better method can solve problems which otherwise we are finding very difficult to solve. For example, water for everyone in the state of Maharashtra is, I would say, probably the biggest problem for Maharashtra. Because water is a necessity we have all over, and God forbid that this next monsoon is not too bad. But every time the monsoon is not good, Maharashtra suffers. One side you get pouring rain, and I've suffered sitting in a car in Bombay for 17 hours when we had the big deluge in 2005, because the drainage is not there, the water is not there, you just get caught. On the same time, in deep Marathwada, there were people who didn't have a drop of water to drink. So to manage water in Maharashtra is not merely doing one thing, you've got to do many different things which suit different parts of this country. So if we find a solutions, there will be many different solutions, all found systemically and then worked on systematically, we will have solved a big problem for the country and demonstrated to ourselves that this method, which Pemandu brings and Sakal brings, which IBIN is promoting, is a method that we could use elsewhere also. Thank you.
You have come out with a complete new mantra of people plus PPP.
Yes.
Could you throw some light on it?
Yes, I would like to do that. We have in the country introduced the notion of having public-private partnerships to address our infrastructure issues, because we recognize that the government itself does not have enough money for all the infrastructure requirements of the country, and the government doesn't have even enough technology management capabilities. So to make the private sector a partner with the government to build infrastructure is a very sensible idea. And so we have been going that way in the level 12 plan. In fact, India now today, according to the Asian Development Bank, India has the largest number of public-private partnership projects of any country in Asia, and that probably means any country in the world. However, what we found was that in many projects, and especially projects in which people's issues are being addressed, like making water available in towns or water in the rural areas where individual farmers need the water, or electricity distribution in urban areas, or toll roads that go near cities, where lots of people's lives are affected by that project. If you do not put the people's needs at the center and design your project, your PPP, public-private project, to address the people's needs at the center, then what happens is that the elegant public-private partnership project, legally very sound possibly, begins to fail when people begin to obstruct the progress of that project any further. And that's happening in the country to our toll roads, for example, and in Maharashtra too. You say that you'll have to stop collecting the tolls, but the tolls are necessary to pay the private party for the investment that they have made. So what is the government going to do in this instance? It of course has to listen to the people elected, so it'll have to stop the tolls. But if at the very beginning we had considered what were the people's requirements, and they were part of the design and thereafter in the governance, in the sense of being given the information about the progress and the benefits of that project, all three stakeholders would be supporting the solution. So we propose that you add another P, the main P, the people, and then the public, which is the government on behalf of the people, and the private sector. All three must be in partnership together. So fourth P is the partnerships, PPPP, with the people at the center. And this requires what? That in the methodologies that we use, we must lay out steps for early involvement of the people. And I might say here that Dato Sri Idris, who's the head of Pemandu, who was here recently, and we were comparing notes, Sakal, Pemandu, and ourselves, myself from the Planning Commission. And Dato said that what he found, the new thing in the Sakal initiatives, which is that there's much greater involvement of stakeholders up front. Yes? And that is, I think, in our country, we're recognizing very necessary. Because we do have, less, if I might say, strong authority governments, being a large, diverse country, and you have a lot of people participation. So unless into your methodology you build people up front, then whatever you may do in a very systematic fashion, like good management and good government, can be the wrong thing or can fall apart. So this is the genesis of our insistence of the 4 Ps, people, public, private partnerships, to address the requirements of the country.
Yes. Mr. Maira, you see change has been worked out at the lab. How do you see Planning Commission and the event contributing as we go forward to the Delivering Change Foundation?
Yes, the 2 ways. There's a partnership here. Pemandu has brought in a method which is the world's best method of a government-led, multi-stakeholder solutions and their implementation. And we want to propagate this world-class methodology for use to other states in the country. Even since it's a national idea that if people all over the country use better methods to get coordination and collaboration, the country will be better off. We'd like to show the success being achieved by using the Pemandu method here in Maharashtra with Sakal. So I was here and getting quite excited to say, look, it works here. The local people, our government people here and the NGOs here say they see the difference and the value of it. So I'd like that story to be propagated. And the sooner the better. We don't have to wait till the final results. Enough recognition by people early on that this is different and I can see the value of the difference, they will start it. Okay?
You don't need to wait for the water problem to be solved before you propose Pemandu. Just enough, like the government people telling me today, that, you know, sir, in the government departments, we find working in silos. And I know that it's not finding a solution. Here's a method to do it. So right now, if this method is proposed to other areas in Maharashtra, other subjects, or to other states in whatever subjects they push, we can start many change initiatives fast enough. And IBIN's role is to propagate better methods for coordination, for collaboration, so that issues can be addressed collaboratively by the three stakeholders, the people, the public, and the private, together systematically to do that. We are distilling also in IBIN the best of the methods that are available in the country and those being brought in. We are encouraging the people who develop these methods to also learn from each other. We will be having in the month of probably September, the date is not exactly fixed, a meeting of the best experts in such methods. And we'll be inviting Sakal, and hopefully Pemandu will come, where other people who are using methods here in our country and outside, they can compare notes, and it'll be helpful to everybody. To the experts themselves, they develop the best practice of collaboration methods and coordination methods in the world, and we Indians benefit, so IBIN will benefit. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.